Yes, you're listening to Business Podcasting Made Easy. Yes, this is the Influencers Formula, where you get a roadmap to instant authority and thought leadership with a podcast, a book, an evergreen course, all the things that you're proud of. You're listening to it on the IBGR network or your favorite podcast platform. This is episode 40. Today, we're talking about partnership monetization strategies with ads, affiliates, sponsorships, and how to choose. I'm Donna Cundy, co-founder of the IBGR Network, global radio authority and podcast expert, producer of over 14,000 podcasts.
And I'm Ben Joya, three-time international best-selling author with teachings that reach more than 50,000 people worldwide. And that is thanks to leveraging my books. So we're here to help you get your podcast done 13 minutes at a time in just 13 weeks. And if you think about the podcast as the top of a pyramid, from the podcast come all these other things: your book, your interactive ebook, a load of content, things that you can amplify, audiograms, memes, all this kind of stuff, and not in a way that's overwhelming. Like one thing just builds on the next really, really easily. So
it's like a treasure chest.
it's a treasure chest, right? It's the golden goose, right? Keep laying the eggs, right? So remember, you can easily follow the plan at influencersformula.com. And if you want direct live support from us, contact us today at ibgr.info. And that leads us to a fabulous quote from our friend Amit Ray. He says, "Collaboration is the essence of life. The wind, bees, flowers, and flowers work together to spread the pollen." Welcome to the show.
I love that visual right there of the wind, the bees, and the flowers working together. Because where we're going with the podcast profit playlist, the 3 P's of your money machine from what is going on here is not necessarily about the money. It's about the impact that you can make, and how do you make the most impact? And it's the different ways to spread your pollen.
Exactly. And it's really about becoming a person worth listening to by choosing what kind of partnership works best for your podcast season by season, right? So whether it's ads, affiliates, sponsorship, combination therein, we're going to talk about that. And remember, what's that African proverb, right? If you want to go fast, you go alone, right? If you want to go big or successful, what's that?
Far. If you want to go far, go together.
Right. You do it, in group, as a tribe, in community. And that's what we are talking about today.
Absolutely. And I love that you say that this is season by season, because your ads, your affiliates, and your sponsorship, as your transformation focus changes, it opens up new possibilities. It doesn't mean that you necessarily can get rid of your old ones, but it means you can add to your group as you're expanding what you're doing. What you need to know about this one, I get a lot of questions, Ben, about when can I get advertisers? When can I get sponsors? I just want to clarify that what we're talking about here, there's another show that's very similar to this that we do, and that's where you are doing advertising. That's where you're going to podcast platforms and you're advertising your show. You're spending money. That's coming up. This is totally different. This is where you're reaching out to, remember that list that we talked about that you've been keeping because you've been cultivating it and adding to it. This is going back and looking through that list again to see who can augment this, and it's somebody else's voice on your show. It's somebody else's business on your show. It's somebody else's message that is in alignment with that. And there's a lot of questions. So the strategy that you'll use for this is going to largely depend on the size of your audience. And so if you're just starting out, the best thing to do is to think about affiliates. And the 4 main ways to do that, again, is to pitch directly to the best brand. Your podcasters, if you don't know who that is, again, I keep going back to what you and I do, but you connected me to Rich, who does television, and his thing is to get the talk show host visually. What a great connection! What a great augmentation to what we do at IBGR. Book coaching, that's a great augmentation to what we do here at IBGR with podcasting and radio. And so you want to just think about who are those partners that could fit in there. You do a lot with affiliates. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I just keep asking myself, it's like, whose audience, can I borrow, can I serve, or whose audience can serve me, right? Because I talk a lot about about books and publishing, and sometimes I don't want to, say yet again, here's how to write a book, because a lot of my listeners, right, they might have written a book, or I should say, a lot of my readers and followers, they could have written a book already, or it's not quite time to write the book, but they might need something else, like they might need sales support. Um, so I'll be, sharing other people's content as an affiliate, right? For, for training or guidance from someone else who's a strategic partner of mine, or I'll have an affiliate, someone who will promote for me because they know that their audience is ripe for book writing, if you will, right? So just, don't overcomplicate this. You might hear us talking about these business strategies and it's like, oh, I don't know, all these things, right? Like one step at a time here, right? And keep it simple. And that's why we recommend affiliates. And affiliates, even if you're starting with affiliates, it doesn't mean you ever have to stop with affiliates as well.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for that. And so just a definition here, as a podcaster, this is really good for a small audience, because you're going to get paid for each sale that's made versus a unique link, instead of getting paid by how many listeners you have. As your listenership grows, there are other options that you might want to use, like a podcast ad marketing place, or a podcasting network, or pitching directly to some of the larger brands. Those can be your long-term plays, your long-term strategies, but the affiliate is really, it's an easy way to get started in that. Ben, before we go into what you need to do, I also want to just give a little definition or an example of how this works. If we're talking sponsorships, what that means very easily in the beginning of your show is something that you say as you're recording, to say, and this show is brought to you by Influence with a Heart. Visit Influence with a Heart at, what's your website?
It's influencewithaheart.com.
Yeah, and learn more about what Ben Joya does and how he can help promote you and your business. So that, that's very simple to do a sponsorship at the beginning of a podcast. And as you said, influencewithaheart.com, you would insert your affiliate link to send them to, if that's how you're structuring this. Another way to do it is that you would ask them to produce a commercial for you. And that would either run during your show. Some people do it at the mid show, where we do our invitation to work directly with us. You can put a little 15-30 second in the middle of your show commercial, or run it in your pre-roll or post-roll of a lot of the platforms. If you're not sure what that is, the platforms will do that for you. And when you change the MP3, it'll automatically update to all of your podcasts.
Beautiful. Yeah, there's so many ways to do this. And sometimes, right, too many choices lead to inaction, right? So do not enact, right? We want action here, right? So if you're just joining us for the first time, you're at the beginning of the journey with us, make sure you're following the shows, following the roadmap at influencersformula.com. And if you want direct support from us, contact us at ibgr.info, right? And right, taking action, start with 2 questions, right? Because ultimately this is still about partnerships, right? This is partnership by another name and another name and another name, right? Do you consistently get at least 200 downloads per episode, right? And what products or services would add value, to your listeners?
I'm so glad you gave that metric, 200 downloads per episode, Ben, because that's another big question that we get here at the station. When can I start monetizing? The 200 downloads per episode is a great metric for when you want to reach out to some of the larger brands and actually sell the space, sell ad time, sponsorship time. But even before 200 downloads, you can start doing the affiliate program that we've talked about. That's just a link. It's just, and who doesn't, what other company does not want their product or service promoted on other people's platforms? That I can't think of any one of them. So you can start right away with affiliate. And then if you want to go into some of the other strategies, think about roughly 200 downloads per episodes. As you're talking about the products and services to add value, what are the best practices? Finding a sponsorship that is worth your time takes a little bit of work on the front end, but you can definitely do that to add interest to the listener, because it's not just your voice, to continue to organically build your network and your listenership, and to begin to monetize the work that you're already doing with your podcast.
Yep. And, remember that you are providing value and offering service. So if you're going to run ads, right, if you have ads as part of the show, don't exceed, basically your ads, the amount of time dedicated to ads on a show should be 10% or less than the total show time, right? Because
Yeah.
you're not here to broadcast a commercial. You're here to use the ads to supplement what you're bringing to the listener.
Thank you for saying that, because I go to websites and sometimes there's so many ads on there that I can't even find what I'm looking for. You don't want to be that podcaster either. So as we begin to wrap up this episode and this week of content, remember, choose one of the four there's one of the four monetizing strategies we have discussed in episodes 37 through 40. For this particular episode, if this is the one that you're choosing to start with, choose a monetizing strategy and decide which partners you want to reach and how you will connect with them. When we say monetizing strategy, are you going to do affiliate? Are you going to sell the spots? Are you going to do sponsorships? How are you going to do that? And connect with them. If this is not one of your ones, go back and listen to the other three. Choose one strategy here. You really want to begin monetizing the work that you've done, because you're worth it. And more importantly, it's the investment that the others make in themselves that will get the transformation, which is why you're doing this to begin with.
Oh, beautifully said, beautifully said. So, hey, if you haven't heard us say this before, subscribe to the show at influencersformula.com, reach us at ibgr.info. And Donna, you want to take us home?
Yeah, I do. Our next week, we're going to talk about leveraging and leveling up to the max, even though this one was leveraging the F out of things, but that's okay. This podcast in particular is episode 40, partnership, monetization strategy, ads, affiliates, sponsors, etc. This is Business Podcasting Made Easy, the Influencers Formula. I'm Donna Cundy.
And I'm Ben Joya. Thank you so much for being here.